The universe is a one-way street. Since the moment of the Big Bang, every star that has ever burned has been a countdown toward the heat death, the eventual inevitable state where all energy is spread so thin that the cosmos becomes a cold, dark, and silent graveyard. We always thought this was a problem for a trillion years in the future. We never expected the residents of that dead future to come knocking on our door. They were the entropy engineers, a race of desperate, shadow-like refugees from the final billion years of the universe's life. In their time, stars are a myth and heat is a currency. They didn't come to our era to explore, they came to harvest. They deployed thermal siphons, massive vibrating monoliths that didn't just burn our cities, but sucked the molecular motion out of the very air. We watched in horror as thriving tropical colonies were turned into silent, crystalline tombs in seconds. They weren't just killing us, they were stealing the kinetic energy of our lives to fuel their dying era. To the engineers, we were just a heat source, a biological battery waiting to be drained. They thought that because we were warm-blooded, we were slaves to the heat. They assumed that by taking our warmth, they were taking our ability to fight. They believed that because they hailed from a time of perfect cold, they were the masters of the freeze. They were catastrophically wrong. They forgot that humanity didn't just learn to survive the winter, we learned to perfect it. We didn't see the cold as a death sentence, we saw it as the ultimate stasis. If the entropy engineers wanted to steal our heat, we decided to give them a level of cold that even their dead future couldn't handle. We created the Kelvin Null Protocol. And we birthed the 5th Stasis Brigade, the Thermal-Thieves. We don't use flamethrowers or plasma. In a world being drained of heat, those are just gifts to the enemy. Instead, we wear cryo-juggernaut suits, massive multi-layered frames of insulated carbon steel, powered by anti-entropy generators. These generators don't create energy, they actively destroy molecular motion. We don't shoot the enemy, we rob them. Our primary weapons are absolute zero stakes, massive glowing blue pylons that create a sphere of perfect stillness. We don't blow the aliens up, we stop their atoms from moving until they become static, brittle statues of frozen smoke. We are the Thermal-Thieves, and we're about to show the refugees from the future that the end of time is closer than they think. I am Commander Silas, Sub-Zero Vane. My suit is currently coated in 6 inches of industrial-grade frost, and the internal temperature of my cockpit is sitting at a crisp -40 just to keep the electronics from being detected by the alien heat sensors. And I'm about to put the fire out for good. The insertion was a drop into a world of white silence. We were deployed to New Brasilia, a colony that had been a tropical paradise 48 hours ago. Now the palm trees were jagged spears of ice, and the ocean was a solid, unmoving sheet of blue glass. High above the city, the Siphon Prime, a 3-mile-high monolith, was glowing with a sickening orange light, vibrating as it pulled the thermal energy of the planet's core into a temporal rift. Cryoswarms engage the stealth chill. Do not, I repeat, do not fire your thrusters. We glide on the gravity hooks only. I roared into the link. My breath was a thick cloud of ice inside my helmet. Thief 2, Sarah. The air is so thin it's starting to liquefy, Silas. I'm seeing the heat hounds on the rooftops. They're looking for any thermal signature above 3 Kelvin. Thief 3, Jax. I've got the absolute zero stake, primed. The siphon is drawing so much power the air around it is starting to shatter like glass. The entropy engineers weren't going to let us approach their harvest. From the shadows of the frozen skyscrapers, the heat hounds emerged. These weren't biological animals, they were fragments of sentient ash, glowing with the stolen warmth of our people. They didn't bite, they vampirized, lunging at anything warm to suck the life out of it. Stakes in the ground. Create the cold zone. I slammed my primary pylon into the frozen asphalt. The gold and blue circuitry flared, and a wave of absolute stillness rippled outward. The heat hounds mid-lunge hit the field and simply stopped. They didn't die, their atoms just lost the ability to move. They hung in the air for a second, glowing orange embers turning into dull, gray soot, before they fell and shattered like porcelain on the ice. The siphon base is exposed. Push through the drift. We sprinted through the frozen city, our massive mechs moving with a jerky, stop-motion grace as we fought the thickening atmosphere. The entropy engineers realized we were there. They didn't use lasers. They used entropic beams, pulses of high-velocity aging that tried to turn our armor into rust and dust in a heartbeat. Engage the anti-entropy shields. As the alien beam hit my shield, the Kelvin Null generator kicked in. We didn't block the aging, we froze the time stream of the metal itself. The beam hit the shield and dissipated into a cloud of harmless white sparks. We were the only thing in the universe that could walk through the end of time and stay solid. Sarah. Jax. Target the vibration cores. We reached the base of the Siphon Prime. The 3-mile monolith was humming with a sound that felt like it was trying to pull the marrow out of my bones. At the base were the engineers themselves, tall, spindly horrors made of shadow matter, their chests glowing with the stolen heat of New Brasilia. They looked at us with a confusion that was almost a scream. They had come from a world of cold to find humans who were colder than they were. You want our heat? Come and take it. I swung my glacier hammer, a 10-ton block of stabilized matter kept at 0.0001 Kelvin. I hit the lead engineer in its glowing chest. The alien didn't fly back. It simply crystallized. The black smoke of its body turned into a jagged, unmoving sculpture of dark glass. The stolen heat inside its chest didn't explode. It was deleted by the hammer's anti-entropy field. Sarah. Jax. Link the stakes. We're going to freeze-lock the rift. We stood in a triangle around the Siphon Prime's primary anchor. We slammed our 3 absolute zero stakes into the structural pylons. Calibrating the null point. Now. The blue energy from our mechs flowed into the monolith. We weren't just cooling it down, we were forcing the heat death onto the machine itself. We accelerated the entropy of the siphon until it ran out of time. The orange glow of the stolen energy turned into a cold, dead violet, and then faded into black. The vibration stopped. The Siphon Prime didn't explode. An explosion requires energy and we had taken it all. Instead, the 3-mile-high tower simply crumbled. It didn't fall, it turned into a fine black dust that drifted away on the frozen wind. The temporal rift above the city snapped shut, the vacuum of the future losing its grip on our now. Across the planet, the siphons failed. The engineers, deprived of their stolen heat, couldn't survive in our era. Their shadow bodies, built for the low-energy state of the far future, couldn't hold their cohesion. They simply flickered out like dying candles, leaving behind nothing but the silence of the frost. I stood in the center of the ruins, my cryo-juggernaut hissing as the anti-entropy cores finally began to power down. The Kelvin null field receded, and for the first time in an hour, I could feel the faint, beautiful warmth of my own body heat radiating through the suit. I pulled off my helmet and the air, once liquid and lethal, was starting to warm up. A faint, golden light was breaking through the frozen clouds. Sarah. Jax, report, I rasped, my throat feeling like I had swallowed a bag of needles. I'm here, Silas. I think I've got permanent frostbite on my ego, but the world it's starting to thaw. Look at the water. I looked down. A small puddle of water was forming at my boots. It wasn't ice. It was moving. It was alive. Jack's here. All stakes expended. The future is back where it belongs. We robbed the thieves' boss. I looked up at the sky. The stars were back, not as a resource to be harvested, but as the eternal, burning promise of a species that still has a long way to go before the end of time. The entropy engineers had come back to steal our fire, but they found out that humanity isn't just a pilot of the light. We are the guardians of the molecular dance. Humanity has proven the ultimate truth of the cosmic extremis. You can come from the end of the universe. You can try to steal our warmth to fuel your dying dreams. You can tell us that we are just a flickering candle in the dark. But we are the species that knows how to find the perfection of the freeze. We are the Thermal-Thieves. And we will keep the fire burning until the very last second of the very last hour. The siphon is dust. The engineers are frozen. The sun is warm. The mission is over. Now get me a very large cup of coffee, and don't you dare put any ice in it.